Welcome back to Kansas City, or welcome to Kansas City if this is the first time seeing a video from this desk. Today we're going to answer a very specific question, and a simple question, which is what makes level funding a bad idea in certain situations? Why do some brokers avoid level funding even if they're big level funding advocates? This is a lesson that a lot of young brokers will either learn through their experience or they will learn right here from the experiences of others. Now, Connor and I, our camera guy, was just talking about what is wisdom. Well, wisdom is learning from the mistakes of others. And today I'm going to try to impart a bit of wisdom from the brokers in the field who have been doing level funding for decades. When is level funding a bad idea? Well, there are four big situations that make level funding a bad idea. And the first one's going to be statutory. If you are looking to come into level funding, if you are a broker around this great nation, the first thing you need to do is see what the regulations in your state are for level funding. These are different in every state in the union. So if you want to play in level funding, if you've been consuming level funding content, if you've been reading the Noble Agent's Guide to Level Funding, the book, or you've been in the university, realize level funding is not in every state, or at least small group level funding is not. The one that comes to mind right off the bat is North Dakota. North Dakota is really difficult to level fund under 25. It's the same way, in my opinion, to do level funding in Connecticut under 50. There are some really different rules in these marketplaces. So the first thing you want to do is reach out to your general agent or a broker that you know, like, and trust and say, hey, can I level fund here? Now, do not take that answer from a fully insured guy. Only take that from, or the answer from, someone who's experienced in self-funding or level funding. That's the first of the four big things on why it can be a bad idea. Some states, you can't really do it, so don't do it. Number two, when is level funding a bad idea? Level funding is a bad idea if you have a potential client or a client who has a whole lot of variability in their workforce throughout the plan year. Now, there's ways to do this where you have different classes of employees, but realize if you have an employee group that is 100 people in the summer and 10 people in the winter, think a landscaping company, it's going to be a really bad idea. Your census changes are going to really distort what is actually going on inside of your plan. And because of that, you do not want to level fund those groups. You want groups that have a stable or more or less stable census or number of employees throughout the plan year. Question or problem number three that makes level funding a bad idea in certain situations is if the company is on the rocks. If the company is thinking about going out of business the next week, or they're looking to reduce costs in any way possible simply because they have a really, really bad cash flow or really, really bad books, as the broker, don't play with them. These groups are set up on level funding for a year contract. So if they don't think they're going to be in business for another year, I would not put a client on a level funded chassis. Level funding is set up for a 1-year contract. The stop loss contracts are for 1 year. So you do not want to put a client on a level funded or self-funded contract if you don't think they're going to be in business for the next 6 months. This will break the stop loss contract and it becomes a nightmare for everybody involved. So make sure that they're stable, at least stable enough for the next 12 months. And then problem number four, when you do not want to play with level funding, is if the client will not actually sit down with you and explore the long term. Level funding builds better programs over the long run. If this client will not sit down and invest an hour with you to discuss their benefit package, something that's costing them at least tens of thousands of dollars a year, if not hundreds of thousands or millions, then they're not treating you with the respect that you need to actually do your job. So I would turn that client off. If they don't want to sit down with you and invest a bit of their time and they're expecting you to do a bunch of work for free or with limited information, realize they're not respecting you, they're not going to respect the process, and they're actually not going to get into the weeds with you. Level funding, the devil is in the details, the God is in the gaps. This is every program. You do not want to sell these off a spreadsheet. You want to sell these off the custom solutions that are offered to the benefit owner. So if they're not willing to invest a bit of time up front, I would invest my time in a client that says, yeah, we'll see what we can do together. And then they punk you when you've done a whole bunch of work for free because they don't really care about you. They only care about them. Those are the four big things where level funding is a bad idea. Make sure the state, you can play with it for that group size. Make sure they're stable in their census. Make sure they're going to be in business, and make sure they respect you enough as the broker to invest their time to help you do the work for them and their employees. If those four things are hit, then shake the bushes, try it out, and you can go through the underwriting process to see exactly where that group is going to land. And if you can build a better future for them, their employees, and their company for years and years to come. That's a bit of wisdom that if you pick it up, it'll make your life a whole heck of a lot easier. One bonus tidbit for those of you who stayed to the end. If you were looking to become educated about level funding, if you were looking to not have to go into every situation as the neophyte or the new guy, we do have the New Broker Kit, which you can click on. It has a digital copy that'll give you of the Noble Agent's Guide to Level Funding, as well as the Great Life Calculator and a few other tools. These are free from me, or my gift to you, so to speak. But realize, don't go into these meetings untrained. Get as much training as possible because you're dealing with people's future, and you need to respect them if you're demanding respect from them. All right, get out there, help somebody, and we'll see you in a bit.